Grunge was a form of hard-driving rock music that combined elements of punk and heavy metal with the highly structured songwriting elements of more traditional mainstream pop and rock. Some notable bands include Nirvana, Sonic Youth, Pearl Jam, and the Pixies. Some notable people include Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain, and Eddie Vedder.
In the 1990s, two major trade agreements written by the Clinton administration were passed, being the North American Free Trade Agreement in 1993 and the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade in 1994. NAFTA abolished tariffs between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Meanwhile, GATT aimed at the abolition of quotas and the reduction of tax tariffs among the nations signed. Industries lost a large percentage of the market to foreign companies, and numerous American corporations built factories in foreign countries with low wages to keep operating costs down. Many workers saw their jobs move to countries like Mexico or China. However, many in America saw globalization as an opportunity. Increased importation created a selection of goods to American consumers, which kept prices low due to competition. The rapid advancement of computer technology also contributed to the major changes in the sense of how people kept their records. They would find that the computer programs like Microsoft Office would help organize their files on a hard drive instead of in a filing cabinet. Banking came to be almost entirely computer-assisted, with most Americans engaging in some sort of computerized banking by the end of the 1990s.
In the 1990s, people were more inclined to use a computer since everything was being moved online. The computer would soon change the way the typical American goes about their day in life. Though the internet began in the late 1980s, it was adopted on a much larger scale in the 1990s to phones and personal computers. It moved to an even larger scale in the 2000s. There were several reasons for acceleration in internet use. The general rapid increase of personal computers increased as the development of the World Wide Web. It was proposed by Tim Berners-Lee in 1989 in a lab in Switzerland. The internet allowed individual online users an opportunity to develop a website and interact online. In the 1990s, most users accessed the internet via digital subscriber line. This would change in the incoming years as fiber optics, cable internet, and Wi-Fi would be released. Email also contributed to the growth of the internet by allowing individuals to communicate in messages. By the mid-1990s, observers estimated that email was used more than the telephone. Perhaps the most important website of the 1990s was Google. Merely by typing in a keyword or phrase, Google users are instantly connected to an abundance of sites containing information about the subject through algorithms. Other search sites like Yahoo had a similar function in the 1990s, but Google quickly outpaced them all.
In 1991, Iraq invaded Kuwait in an attempt to annex the oil-rich country. The UN demanded Iraq's withdrawal, even as the coalition of nations that include the United States gathered 690,000 troops along the border. Saddam Hussein did not leave at the deadline of January 15, 1991, and the next day, the coalition started to bomb for 6 weeks.
The most prevalent act of terrorism was the bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma City on April 19, 1995, which killed 168 people, including 19 children. The attack was carried out by Timothy McVeigh, an American with ties to a militia group opposed to what its members saw as the increasing power of the federal government. The worst case of violence was when two students came into Columbine High School and started a school shooting. By the time the rampage ended, with the two taking their own lives, they had killed 12 students, one teacher, and injured many others. Across the country, viewers watched television footage of students fleeing the school and law enforcement officials moving in. This then sparked many school violence acts to follow.
Campaigning as a moderate agent of change, President Clinton won the election in 1993. Clinton's effort to dramatically reform national health care met with ferocious resistance. The attempts at medical care reform died in late 1994. Clinton had his share of political victories, which was helped by his move from left to center. He introduced a new budget which taxed the rich heavily. Partisan combat became volatile in the elections of 1994 when Republicans took the majority in both houses of Congress. The fights that ensued between Congress and the president in the years that followed reached their worst when the government shut down in November 1995 and again in January of 96, because of the two sides being unable to agree on a federal budget. Kenneth Starr was appointed by an independent counsel to investigate on the Whitewater scandal. Paula Jones, a worker for Clinton in Arkansas, filed a harassment charge on Clinton during his investigation against the Whitewater scandal. In his findings in the harassment case, Starr came across rumors that Clinton had sexual relationship with White House intern Monica Lewinsky. While Clinton denied the scandal, he was referred to as a victim. Starr was referred to as a villain for the accusations. Then, Lewinsky struck a deal with Starr, setting off a chain of events that led to Clinton admitting to the scandal. When Starr submitted his final report on the affair, it created media sensation. It was published in many newspapers around the world in full sexual detail. December 19th, 1998, Clinton became the second U.S. president to be impeached. Though the Senate acquitted the president, many believed the scandal had damaged the office of his presidency. The affair and Starr's investigation further divided the electorate and seemed to blur the line between private and public life in the mainstream news.
Blurring of the line between journalism and entertainment grew fuzzier in the case of former football great and actor O.J. "The Juice" Simpson. On June 12, 1994, Simpson's wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman were found brutally murdered outside her Brentwood townhouse in Los Angeles. The automatic accusation soon fell on the shoulders of O.J. Days after the killings, Los Angeles police charged Simpson with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Simpson's lawyer, Robert Kardashian, told him to surrender at police headquarters, but he didn't show up and became a wanted fugitive. That evening, Simpson was riding in his white Ford Bronco, being driven by A.C. Cowlings on Los Angeles freeways, followed by a parade of police cruisers. Cameras followed the chase until the Bronco finally pulled into the driveway of Simpson's house. He stayed in the parked car and surrendered through the cell phone. The ensuing trial lasted for months and ended in Simpson's acquittal. The trial became an example of racism and the justice system, media, celebrity, and domestic violence. Simpson was later found guilty in a civil suit filed by the Goldman's family.